Patrick, so here we are right of the 16th green. It's an interesting shot, should you have missed the green. There's so many options. Certainly you get the tight lies that you tend to get on the Bermuda here in South Florida. A lot of us would putt it. A lot of guys at your level chip these. Walk us through your process if you would.
Yeah, sure. Like I say, we play lots of matches here and a lot of balls end up here. It's windy, Medalist is tough, and there's a 240 tee box back there. So, I was playing a match with JT recently and we were both over here. And so hitting shots like this around here, if you're going to score your golf ball and put a good score, you need to get up and down a few times, maybe even make a few, depending on your company. So I basically exclusively chip with my 61 degree. And I used to vary the clubs a lot, and I'd get caught in between. Is it a high 57? Is it a low 61? Is it is it just a bump 9 iron, whatever it is? And so I found myself with lots of indecision, and I can't tell you how much better my short game got when I thought of 61 degree first, saw if there was something to do with 61 degree, and then if there absolutely was no shot with it, then think about what the next best shot was. So this is 61 degree, and you can see when it's dark like this, it's into the grain. And so into the grain, it's gonna come off a little lower, mostly because you have to descend into the golf ball and get that ball first, right? And so the way I pick my shot will actually be backwards. So I know it's into the grain. I noticed that kind of is what I'm allowed to do.
Okay.
I can't hit a high spinny one because it's into the grain, right? So, and what I mean by working backwards is I'm gonna try and find the most predictable, biggest landing area on the green so it can take a predictable bounce. And so if I can find a gradual upslope, that's good. If I can find like a little bowl, that would be better, because then if I land it shorter, it'll kick forward. And if it lands in the middle, it'll take a soft middle bounce. And if it lands on the upslope, it'll check because it's landed into the upslope.
Right.
So if I can't find the bowl or a perfectly flat spot, the next best option is a gradual upslope. So there's actually a little bit of a bowl here. You can kind of see it kind of flat, bottoms out, uphill. So if I pick the right shot, my margin for error is huge. Like I can hit a tap in. If I pick the right shot, I got, 4 feet to land it in, where I should have a tap in. So like I say, into the grain, it's gonna come off low. It should have a little spin. It's gonna land on a little into grain, so it should have spin, and it's gonna break left. And you play enough money games with JT and the guys here, you better be thinking of making this shot.
Right, makes sense.
This is a birdie look.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so that's all right. I mean, it just ran out a little bit, but that's the idea.
Absolutely. So you mentioned JT earlier, and we're here in the Hope Sound, Jupiter area in South Florida. You're from California, you move out here. You've got these amazing facilities here at Medalist Golf Club and other places in terms of your practice and wins and whatnot. But let's talk about the ability to take out your cell phone on a Monday or Tuesday on a week off, call JT. All these amazing guys and players that live here in this part of the world, and you can come out here and play for $100. Those competitive matches that you have on those days at home, what do they do for you in terms of preparing for a tournament?
I think they're a big deal, and I think they're a big part of why it's an advantage for a lot of the guys that live here. It normalizes seeing the best golf in the world.
Wow.
And so if you're on Tuesday and you're at home on an off week and you're just going to go play around, you don't want to lose to anybody, right? And so you're playing with some of the best players in the world, and a lot of times that'll be the group that I'll be playing with, and it normalizes seeing the best golf in the world. So when I show up to a golf tournament, I don't ever think, oh my God, these guys are playing incredible. I just saw it on Tuesday on my off week. And so not only that, but this golf course preps you really well for tournaments.
Right.
It's a very difficult golf course. And so a lot of the shots that you hit out here, you turn right around, travel to wherever you're going, and you have to hit them on Sunday when it matters.
And let's talk about you more specifically. When the folks at home watch you, we talk a lot about you. They see you go deep at the tournament in Palm Springs. You're shooting 62s and 3s. but I've certainly said about you on the air, you've got a game that's built for the majors. You know, how in a sense intentional is that when you're working with Jamie Mulligan, your instructor? You know, you can flight the ball incredibly well, draws, cuts, the short game. In terms of where you wanted to take your golf game, obviously I know you want to win majors, but in a sense, were you thinking about these really hard courses? You see those 4 or 5 times a year in terms of what you build?
It's a good question. I've always imagined myself as a player that plays really well on hard golf courses, and then historically have played well on hard golf courses. So that, I kind of, that success breeds success mentality. And so I love when I get to a golf course and it's very difficult. The harder, the faster, the better. And so I love fast greens. I love long rough. And so that's usually what major championships are about. And it feels in a way like it suits my game. And then my personality is a little bit, I'll expect it to be harder than it even is.
Right.
And so then I'll get to a major and I'll say, it's not as bad as I thought, this is a scoreable golf course. And so that's when you can kind of wrap your head around, oh, I can get this golf course, even though it's a US Open course. Getting it might be 1 under.
Yeah.
But, getting that mentality, I think, is key to succeeding in those tournaments.
And let's talk about grasses. You know, certainly for someone like myself, I can struggle on anything. But you come here from California. You're certainly playing on a lot of Bermuda here in South Florida. How much did that help you for ultimately teeing it up at something like the Players Championship? Things along those lines, getting accustomed to something you didn't grow up on.
A big key for playing well on tours being able to play all the different types of grasses. And so when I play a Riviera or a Pebble Beach, I'm used to the Poa annua, I'm used to the Kikuyu at Riviera, and now I'm becoming used to the grain here being in South Florida. And so calling South Florida home has the advantage of making me a better Bermuda grass player. And I feel like I'm still learning and still making it second nature. So a lot of times when I ask some of the guys from the South, like, well, what do you see on this Bermuda grass putt, a really grainy green or something? And they go, what are you talking about? And I go, well, what are you reading on the grain? And they say, oh no, I do it naturally.
Right.
So I'm waiting for that effect to kick in.
Right.
But at least I'm learning and acclimating so it'll get there.
Thanks for sharing.